What a week it's been with trains. I know, surprise, surprise. Datified with trains, who knew? But part of that is what's playing behind me. This is footage of Union Pacific's Big Boy 4014 rolling into town that we took. My son and I and our family just loved seeing this engine, not just seeing it, but also seeing it in motion, pulling through town. It's here for the College World Series, so we got some more time to go over and check it out and meet the crew and all that fun stuff. And that has certainly propelled our plans at home with this. This is the Secondhand Overland, our adventure in O-gauge trains. And I've managed to incorporate plenty of Union Pacific relevant stuff in here, but it's all been on the carpet up until this point. Now, if you saw my reaction video to running a train around this thing for the first time, then you already kind of know what to expect with this, but I wanted to get more in depth with the plan here. Phase 1 is complete, pretty much. This tabletop layout is designed not only to go around our existing furniture in the basement, but it's also freestanding, meaning that it's not connected to the walls, so there's no holes or anything like that, should our plans derail and we decide to go back to not having a gigantic custom train table in here. So there is still a way out, but I don't see it happening, at least right now. Hindsight's always 20/20, but we are loving playing with these trains. So here's a quick rundown of what we've done so far and where we're going with this project. So the table is built entirely out of 2x4s and plywood. And it does open up quite a few options for storage underneath, which I'm already starting to utilize. Mostly just leftover lumber and such as I make more adjustments to the table. But the basic construction is complete, with a few exceptions. You'll notice there's a bit of a hole over there. There are no overhead lights in this part of the basement, so these two lamps are kind of crucial. So I need to find a way to either get track lighting installed overhead or make use of these that are already down here. This is our temporary command central for the Secondhand Overland. In this shelving unit here that I just have, literally the top is chopped off there. I may end up actually using it because it's worked out rather nicely, but this first module here is a power master that detects any shorts in the track and will cut power so we don't damage anything electronically. And the one next to it is essentially the command base for my TMCC engines, or really anything that's command based. So the Big Boy and the Challenger run off of this big 90s cell phone looking thing. And for everything else, we are running Lion Chief. Now, my son has loved using these. I think he's actually afraid or intimidated of all the buttons and such on these ones. And so either out of respect or fear or both, he kind of lets me do my thing with the bigger engines. But I also noticed that he wanted to, do something a little bit larger than the smaller switchers that he had down there. And that's where this Hudson unit comes in. At first, I was hesitant to get a Hudson because Union Pacific never actually ran Hudson engines, but I got over being a history snob and figured this would be a lot of fun for him, especially asking other fellow train enthusiasts what they thought of this engine, and it came highly recommended, so we picked it up. And this one is all Lion Chief. It's easy for him to operate, and he's loved it. And it's a little bit larger engine too. Has some great sound effects. And it works great around our layout. Here's a basic overview of the route for the Secondhand Overland. Ignore all the switches and extra track right now. I'm still trying to figure all that stuff out. But starting from this point here, we go straight and then into an 060 right-hand turn. And then that follows along the edge of the sectional couch. And then this is an 084 curve along here that goes along the outside edge. And it follows the sectional pretty well. 048 on the outer edge there as it circles around these switch yards. These are up for debate as well. You'll notice all of the switches I have are 036 manual switches. That was mostly because, we were on carpet before and it was a lot of fun for my son to be able to switch those on his own. But we may switch to electric switches, not just to make it easier to get to them, or I wouldn't have to if they were electric, but also because it may help tighten things up and allow us to sneak a few more lines in here because we are at a bit of a disadvantage for space. Speaking of that, though, I may want to leave this space here in the middle open for a cutout because I can't reach anything back there. It's way too far from the edge of the sectional couch here. But anyway, after that 048 turn past the water tower, it follows along. This is an 072 turn. And then this goes underneath the TV that I had. That TV actually had to be wall mounted before I could do any of this. And then this big section over here is another big 048 turnaround. Thankfully, these are all engines that can handle those tight turns. I'm really glad I didn't go for the legacy stuff because none of those engines would have been able to manage these turns. And even though they look a little funny on stuff like this 036, they can still make it around. And we're not going for realism because there's 3 rails, and that's not realistic anyway, so...
Keep rolling. Dispatcher over. Understood. Out.
What's next for this adventure in O-gauge trains? Well, the short answer is scenery. The long answer is I don't really know what scenery I'm going to go with still. My idea was really just to get this thing up off the ground, on a table, regain some storage underneath, and figure the rest out later. Well, later is now, and I still don't know what route to go. We could just put green grass carpet on top of everything, put some houses and buildings in it, and call it a day. But I'd like to look into some, more realistic looking type scenery and really make this most of our basement look a little bit nicer maybe. But I've never done any of that stuff before, so definitely jumping in with some more research and stuff. If you have suggestions on what route I should go with the scenery, let me know, leave a comment below. Thank you so much for watching. Can't wait to give you an update with Phase 2.